Welcome to Breakthrough Success. I'm your host, Mark Gabberty, the content marketing expert, bringing you 5 new episodes every week where I and top-level guests teach you how to take your business to the next level and achieve your breakthrough. Hello, Breakthrough Success listeners. I just wanted you all to know before the episode actually starts, I've been working a little bit behind the scenes to give you something really special. So a while ago, I wrote my book, Content Marketing Secrets, which helps people create, promote, and optimize their content for growth and revenue. And I just put the finishing touches together to offer that for free to anyone who is interested. So if you want your free copy of Content Marketing Secrets, all you have to do is head over to markgabberty.com/book. Now, let's jump right into the episode. We all only have one life, and within that life, we have the opportunity to pursue a career path that we set for ourselves. And one of the most exciting careers is the creative career, where you are pursuing your passion, you are building it into a brand and generating multiple streams of income. So we're going to talk about how to embrace your creative career and to grow your visibility in that area in this episode. So today's guest is the designer behind the jewelry brand Lucid New York, which she started after leaving her Wall Street career. And that collection has gone on to be sold in over 100 stores all over the world. They've been featured in places like People StyleWatch, Vogue, and Cosmopolitan. She is a contributor to HuffPost and Medium and is a certified career coach. She speaks and leads workshops on growing your creative business, generating multiple streams of income, and working remotely. Today's guest for episode 259 of the Breakthrough Success podcast is none other than Anna Sabino. Anna, it is such a pleasure to have you on the show.
Mark, what a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Anna, it is such a pleasure to have you on the show. And I read your book earlier, so I'm really looking forward to diving into this conversation. But speaking of your book, for Breakthrough Success listeners who don't know, that book is called Your Creative Career. A lot of good stuff in there. So before we go into this episode, Anna, what if you give us a background? Why did you decide to write the book, Your Creative Career? And can you give us some of the background on that?
So this book has been brewing in me for years, Mark, and I was just so happy to put the words on paper and to actually get it published. I was thrilled that it was actually traditionally published, that I got an agent who sold Your Creative Career so that it can reach more people. Because the idea behind this book, my mission, is to save other entrepreneurs time. I'm a big believer in efficiency and in connecting, helping each other, spreading the good, and then not even waiting for what comes back. I do believe that the universe just takes care of keeping track and keeping the score. So to share my lessons from my creative path, from being on Wall Street, from starting a jewelry brand at the same time, for having 2 careers for a year, to talk about my transition, to inspire other wannabe entrepreneurs or entrepreneurs already to achieve their success faster, was my biggest mission behind writing it.
And I really like this theme of yours with having an impact. Something I always like to hear because when you think about like creating an impact, it just inspires like me, for instance, to expand my impact. I'm sure it inspires a lot of Breakthrough Success listeners to increase their impact as well when they hear stories like yours where you wanted to write the book and you got it traditionally published so it could reach more people based on that publisher. And one of the things that you talked about in your book, or you talk about a few visibility tactics, like 5 different ways that we can gain visibility, things we should be doing when we're starting at zero, we're starting at like no audience. And one of those things that you mentioned I really like, and I want to talk about this a little more, is shipping out a massive amount of content. And I'm wondering how we can go about doing that because like schedules are different. Sometimes they can get crazy. So how can we be able to continuously ship out a massive amount of content?
Well, content creation is the hot topic, and you are an expert in that, Mark. So definitely creating massive amounts of content and just being out there connecting with our audience is the key to any business. I would say before even thinking of starting a business, I would just already start creating content and connecting with our avatar, with our audience, and seeing what's in. Because if we create in solitude, there's nothing good that can come out of it. So many creators think that they will just save everything for the launch, and they create just being hidden in solitude. They don't want to share anything with anyone. And that's not what the modern creativity is about. That's not the key to success right now. Our customers want to be involved in the creation process. So as soon as we can start producing and publishing content about the creative process, adding value to our readers' lives, adding value to our customers' lives, the better. And to keep it consistent, I'd say discipline and falling in love with the actual process instead of thinking about the results. Because if we're waiting for getting this amount of followers, that amount of followers, that can be discouraging. But just creating and posting. Somebody wrote a post about 300 pieces of content that we will get visible after publishing 300 pieces of content. It takes a while. But self-discipline is one of the main entrepreneurial traits I'd say that we all have to make it.
And self-discipline, I mean, like, that's important all around. It's one of the most important things that we can develop as entrepreneurs and just as people in general. And I really like how you say to focus more on the journey, learn to enjoy it, because if you focus on the numbers, you don't feel like you're heading there yet, it could get really discouraging. So just focus on the journey, focus on the process. It's information you hear a lot, but it's something that is very true. And I feel like one of the things that when you focus on the numbers, it can get a little discouraging to do work. You get into something called creative block in a situation like that where you feel discouraged or something else happens. And creative block is something very real where you have to create content, but maybe you're stuck. Maybe it's something where you're not, you have to do the content, but you're not necessarily creating it. So how exactly can we combat creative block?
It's all about quieting these voices that we all hear. And it's all about knowing that we all hear these voices of, does it make sense to keep going? Are you really good enough? Maybe I should stop now. It doesn't bring any results. So these voices will be always in our heads. I mean, they show up in celebrities. They show up in beginners. They're there. They're there in us. They're definitely in me. So being mindful and being in charge of these voices, quieting these voices, is a skill that we have to keep developing. There are certain ways that we have to constantly work on. It's not that it's going to disappear and we're going to be healed. We're going to be renewed. We're not going to have this issue anymore. So there are dealing with the voices, dealing with procrastination, having a self-discipline. These are the joys, if you want to call that, of the joys of being an entrepreneur. These are the territory that entrepreneurship comes with. So I would say just constant work on developing techniques to have the creativity within you, to be strict with yourself. There's a wonderful book by Cal Newport, The Deep Work. And it's really helped me a lot to just focus on what we have at hand, to work with what we have, and to, if we have half an hour a day, we can write a book within a few months, definitely. Because in half an hour, 500 words, it can take us 3 months to 4 months of writing half an hour a day, and then the book will be done. But the key is to believe in that and to continue, because so many of us quit right before achieving success.
And I mean, like with that example, you may be wondering, can I really write a book? I mean, like, yeah, 30 minutes per day in 3 months. And I mean, like with the math, like 500 words, that's 15, well, that's like 15,000 words per month. So like, I just wanted to demonstrate, like, yes, that math is possible for you to write that much. And it's something where like, when I first heard it, I was like, no way, this can't be right. But it is. I mean, like 500 words, 30 minutes. You're not asking a lot. And of course, just talking about books, but this applies to like blog posts, this applies to videos, any kind of content that you are creating. So definitely something to think about. I mean, like 30 minutes per day, that's a book in 4 months. It's all about how we use our time. And part of being able to get those kinds of results, we're able to publish a book like Anna's been able to, like I've been able to, and like other people have been able to, is having a complete immersion in your work. And one of the stories I really loved in your book is you have a story of Michael Phelps, who said like one day off is 2 days wasted, because that's how much he said it takes. It takes 2 days to get back to where he was if he takes a day off. And then you mentioned that he has like the complete immersion, that philosophy which he gets from his coach. So how can we have complete immersion in the work that we are doing?
Well, a lot of budding entrepreneurs or people who want to get on that path, they have a different idea of what hustle and hard work, especially at the beginning, really means. I just literally finished a coaching call with a client of mine who wants to get more traction on Instagram, and I gave him an example. I gave him an example of my other client who got from 500 followers to 60,000 in a year. And how did she do that? She was engaging every hour for 10 minutes every day for a year. I mean, and that sounds mind-blowing. And she was also posting content, but there is no shortcut to achieving greatness, to get where we want to get. And anybody who tries to sell us how to get 100,000 followers in a few months or so, these are all bots. These are all followers that don't engage. I kept asking creators over and over, those who John Lee Dumas and other podcasters, and I would like to know your opinion, Mark. Like, to me, we basically have to get audience one by one by one. Do you agree? I don't know if you have any shortcuts here. I haven't found any.
No, it's a lot of work. I mean, like this podcast, like we are at like 259. So like there are no shortcuts. You're just creating a lot of content, reaching out to a lot of people, no true shortcut to it. And I mean, I really like the idea that we're enforcing it. Like there are no shortcuts. I mean, there are some ways to get to where we're going faster, but that usually comes in the form of putting in more work than what you're currently putting in. So like what someone from the outside may see as a shortcut is just a lot more hustle going into the process, because like it is a path which like the only shortcut I can really see is like having a coach or something like that. But the people who look like they're taking the biggest shortcuts are the ones who are truly hustling the hardest. And one thing I want to tap upon during this episode is that with the creative career, one of the strengths is that you are able to have multiple streams of income, while with a job, like some people like think it's stable, but you primarily have one source of income. If like you get laid off or something like that, your job, then that source of income disappears. But the creative career, you do have multiple streams of income. I'm wondering if you could share with us how it can start to develop multiple streams of income, reliable ones for what we're doing, because like I understand like you have 5 different ways to make $10 per month, but how do we develop some like big multiple streams of income?
I would say becoming a teacher at something is very important, and let's not think about it as becoming an expert. Being a teacher and being able to teach and share knowledge is just being a little bit better than your students, because actually this way your students will relate better to you and will get that message faster because you're going to be more relatable and closer to them. So developing an expertise and just building on something that you're already passionate about is one of the excellent ways. And there are so many ways to monetize it. I mean, there's content creation, there are digital products, there are partnerships, brand sponsorship. It all depends what we set our mind to, but everything is open. I would say creating content daily, or at least very often and consistently, is definitely a starting point. And if there are those among us who don't know what they want to become, how they want to create these streams of income, I would definitely advise to start creating content daily, putting it out there, and our audience will tell us. We'll see what they need from us by tweaking and testing. We get inspired. That's where the inspiration comes from. It's not by looking at the horizon and being in the cabin in the woods. It's by being out there that you can get inspired. See what's out there. Be out there. Be bold. One of the quotes in the book is, "Wear your two large wings with confidence, you will grow into them." And that's the entrepreneurial motto, I would say.
And I really like that focus on being a teacher. It's interesting from like the difference, like you being a teacher versus being an expert. So I could see how that would carry into a lot of areas. Like you could teach through books, coaching, training courses. There's just a lot of different ways to teach and spread your message. It's just a matter of being able to commit the time. Again, 30 minutes per day. That's a book in 4 months. That's a training course in even less time. So you just got to be able to find the time to make a lot of this happen. But one of the things that a lot of people may be feeling right now is that they may feel stuck with where they are right now. So with that in mind, I'm wondering, what do you believe holds most people back from reaching their full potential with their creative careers?
Very often it's the fear of success and fear of changes. Because once we start doing something additional, that's already a bit uncomfortable, and fear of failure too, which should not be treated as a holdback. It should be treated as a potential lesson to be learned. So fear of success, I would say, and also that translates to procrastination. So I do daily episodes on LinkedIn with hashtag Anna Talks, and one of the episodes was decisions. So what we do is we come up with this pretext of that we can't decide. There's too many things to choose from, and this is one of the ways that we express our fear to succeed, and one of the ways that we procrastinate. Just choose something. Just choose one of them and try, instead of procrastinating by saying that we just have too many choices and too many ideas. We don't know which one to implement. So this would be one of the confidence too is a big issue. I see it over and over in very talented creatives who underprice their products, underprice their services, and they just say, "Oh, I'm not good enough yet. Once I get there, then I will price it there." And they don't realize that they've already put in so many years of work to hone their skills and to develop their talent that they are ready to charge regular prices. There is no need to underprice. And that actually may even scare some potential customers away who will believe that the products are not of good quality. So tons of roadblocks, and the roadblocks are always going to be there. It's just a matter of a constant work on overcoming them, because we all have them. Some of us have those, the other ones have others, but that fear of change, fear of succeeding, fear of just doing something different instead of staying where we are at is in us. Yeah.
I mean, you raised a lot of good points of what holds a lot of people back. One of the themes I saw there was mindset, the way we think about ourselves. Like if we believe in our ability, then we're gonna eventually get to the finish line as long as we keep going. But if we don't believe in ourselves, it's just not going to happen. So a lot of it, I mean, I saw the mindset there. I also saw how we have so many different options. You just gotta eventually grab one of those options, say, okay, I'm gonna start here. I'm gonna take action here, and we'll see how this goes. So there's a point where you got to look at all these opportunities and just pick the one or two or maybe even three that you're going to focus on. So a lot of great insights in there. And one of the questions that I also want to ask, because like with any journey, like there are certain challenges along the way. So can you share with us one big challenge that you faced in your journey and a powerful lesson you learned during that challenge?
When I had during my early years of a jewelry brand, I didn't extend the brand in a mindful way, and it was very challenging because I described it in the book so that others can see that brand extension and the product that we add to our line. It's a delicate process. You kind of have to approach it mindfully, and I didn't, because I was lucky and I was hustling too. So I didn't experience the struggle at the beginning, which was a blessing, but also kind of a curse, because I thought that everything just can be done in an easy way. So right after my jewelry collections got introduced to the public stores, when I started doing a lot of wholesale, I decided to start a handbag line, because I just thought I could do just anything, and without much preparation and testing, it wasn't a good choice. It was a poor choice, and I used the technique from the dip, from Seth Godin's The Dip, where you basically cut the losses, swallow your pride and your ego, and you just get rid of this whole idea immediately without trying to prove to yourself that you were right. And that was the hardest thing to do, because it was, of course, a costly lesson, and it was also a humble lesson. But that's not the first one I'm sure that I will experience, and it's just a part of the process.
And there are certain points where you do have to cut your losses, and an opportunity may not be as good as you thought it was. You pursue a new one. The Dip is a really great book, also a really short book. Seth Godin was actually a guest on Breakthrough Success, episode 16, so we will throw the link to that episode in the show notes for anyone who wants to listen. But you mentioned The Dip, and I do read a lot of books, The Dip being one of the books that I have been able to read. So with that in mind, I wonder if you could share with us 3 books that you believe will have a positive impact on us.
Oh, I do have to mention a book that completely changed my mind, my life 12 years ago. That's, the 4-Hour Work Week. It's just a Bible for everybody, I'd say. All the entrepreneurs. It's the creating the lifestyle that we want and just going for it and making it possible. I mean, this book just completely changed my life, my outlook. So it was very powerful. Then the deep work as well, I would say, especially lately, because procrastination is something that my coaching clients deal with a lot. So I constantly have to and want to come up with different methods, because it's very personal what's going to work for me, what's going to work for them. So that was very interesting to just expand and to read more about how to achieve that deep work, because it's so precious, so valuable. If we have the right focus, we can get stuff done in just a few hours per day. Out of 8 hours, there are maybe 3 or 4 that we're really focused or we are really working. So if we do that at the beginning as entrepreneurs, we could be done at noon if we do it right. With a deep focus, so that was transformational. And the third one, I'm actually looking at my book nook as we speak. The third one, my goodness, there's so many of them.
Third one's always the hardest.
Yeah, the lean startup. The lean startup was a good one because I really believe I read. By the way, I read like 65 books for my book research last year, so they hard to choose three. The lean startup is a good one because I do believe that we should run our businesses in a lean way, no matter where in the process we are. So to say that we need to spend money to make money is I don't believe in that at all. Keeping the business lean just creates so many more opportunities and gives us way more flexibility. So yeah, these three books, the classics.
Anna, thanks for sharing with us those great book recommendations. Those will all be in the show notes, marketbirdie.com/E259. You can also get a free copy of Content Marketing Secrets. Just pay for the shipping, marketbirdie.com/book. And you can also grab my book, Podcast Domination, the newest book, over at the show notes, marketbirdie.com/E259. And before we wrap up this episode, Anna, I've asked you several questions about our time together, but what do you believe is one question that we need to be asking ourselves more often?
I do believe that we should not be settling on trying to do things that we don't want to do. So before we choose a new career, before we choose a business, before we choose devoting energy to what we want to do, the simple question we should ask ourselves is, is it what I want to do? Is this what I want to do? Because in this hustle and bustle, in striving to achieve something, in racing, sometimes we are in the wrong race. And we should not be in that race. Right now, with all the possibilities available to us, we should not be settling at doing something that we just don't want to do. So let's keep our dreams and let's mind our creative path, and let's strive for getting where we want to get and doing what we want to do.
And I absolutely love that message. Thank you for sharing that with us. Thank you for sharing all the great insights throughout our time on Breakthrough Success. If you guys want to keep up with Anna, get her book, Your Creative Career. And you can also get a free download, 12 Creative Career Insights over at annasabino.com, which will be in the show notes. But Anna, I can't thank you enough for coming on Breakthrough Success and sharing your advice with us. It was such a pleasure to have you on the show.
Thank you, Mark.
How does over 100 retweets per day sound to you? My free ebook, 27 Ways to Get More Retweets on Twitter, has you covered. I use the methods within this ebook to get over 10,000 retweets every single quarter. To learn